Hey everybody, we're gonna do Predator 2.
That was the greatest Danny Glover impersonation I've ever seen.
Hey, watch our Geek Pants Camcast.
I'll be
There
Paxton.
you go.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Paxton being all like,
Yeah.
oh, man.
All right, so
Predator 2.
Notes for Predator 2.
Notes. I got notes.
Yeah, so admittedly, I don't like this one as much as I like the first one. But you'll see why. I mean, there are some things that I like, and I'm not. This isn't like me shitting on the whole movie. It's just things here and there, and unfortunately, I have no minuses for the first one. So when you have minuses for the second one, it's like you have no choice but to be like, well, because it's not as good, right? So Predator 2 came out in 1990.
Yep.
Okay, budget was $35 million. This one only made $57.1 million. So that's not good. Now, I questioned the increase in the budget because the other one was made for dirt cheap. But I realized, okay, well, now we're shooting in LA. So there's more people. Plus, you got more stars in this than you do in the other one.
There's so many reasons the budget got increased. I mean, even the Predator is in this way more than the first movie.
That was one. And of course, the special effects, while are more in this movie than they are in the second one, I don't feel like they're any better. I actually kind of feel like the shimmer effect I feel is a little bit worse in this movie than in the first one.
I don't think it's worse. I think it's just the jungle was able to hide stuff better.
Okay, that actually.
Whereas now he's kind of in the wide open with like a sky blank background behind him. So.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. Okay, that makes sense. But I'm surprised it didn't at least double its budget, though.
I mean, I guess Schwarzenegger was a huge moneymaker in the 80s.
That's true, though. You had Schwarzenegger. You also had Carl Weathers as well. That's the other part, too, is you had Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only other thing is that they're one guy short of a fucking Lethal Weapon reunion in this movie, which I was very surprised by.
Yeah.
But so Danny Glover isn't exactly, he's not Schwarzenegger. No. And that's the other part. Another thing I had with this movie where I was like, eh. But anyway, so it was directed by Stephen Hopkins, who directed. No, you ain't got it. Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child.
Yes, I did read that. They were
so impressed. He directed a bunch of other movies, but that was one that stuck out. Of course, Predator 2, The Ghost in the Darkness, which is a really good movie.
Which is easily my favorite movie.
Really good movie. Lost in Space for me, pal.
Have you watched that lately? Have you watched it lately?
I also haven't watched The Ghost in the Darkness lately either, though. So
okay, well, let me tell you, Lost in Space isn't as awesome, though. Lacey Chambers is still fucking hot in it.
I think Lost in Space is on those list of movies where I'm like, maybe don't rewatch it. Because you might actually, because I remember really liking the movie. I
remember loving it. I remember thinking Matt LeBlanc is actually a pretty awesome action star.
I remember thinking the same thing. I remember being stunned that his action movie career didn't take off after this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, this is so good. But I do know, because I've looked at it since, on Wikipedia and IMDb or whatever. It is critics just shit all over this movie.
Oh yeah,
that's one thing that I'm kind of glad. Back in the day where we didn't have instant access to reviews, so I didn't know until many years later that critics hated this fucking movie.
Unless you were subscribing to a bunch of newspapers, you had no idea what the reviews were.
But even then, you'd have to at the level that you can get it now, you'd have to subscribe to every newspaper anywhere to be able to have the level of reviews that you can have in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
I'll go through the cast real quick. You got Danny Glover as Lieutenant Mike Harrigan. just really just a combination of Riggs and Murtaugh. Just so because he plays the old weathered cop, but he's also the rogue, play it by his own rules type of thing. I was like, I can't get over this, but that was cool. Of course, you got Gary Busey as Peter Keyes, a expert on Predator or predators, I should say.
Yeah, because this actually takes place in '97.
And I'll get to that too, because that's another thing that I was like,
kind of weird, right?
Danny Archuleta is Ruben Blades.
Ruben Blades is Danny Archuleta.
Oh, it's the other way around.
Other way around. Ruben Blades is his real name. It's probably
IMDb,
his acting name. I doubt his last name's really
steered me wrong. Because here's the thing, like normally I go to Wikipedia, but for this stuff here today, I was like, no. I'm doing IMDb, or IMDb. IMDb, that's what it is. Yep. So I went like facts.
Yeah.
And they actually had Ruben Blades as his like character name. So
I don't know, man, because I also went to IMDb and I wrote it down the right way.
Maybe I read it wrong. It's entirely possible. Maria Conchita Alonso as Leona Cantrell.
Yep.
Bill Paxton as Jerry Lambert.
Yep.
Or Lambert. Robert Davey, and I never knew his last name was Davey, but I hate this guy in every movie I've ever seen of him. Even though I like him, like I do go, oh, hey, he's in this movie. But he's always a dick in everyone is talking.
Always
every single one. I remember the first time I seen him, and it was Goonies, and hated him ever since.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. That's why when I watched Die Hard, I knew that he was a bad guy. I knew there was something up with this guy because he was a dick in Goonies.
This guy's never good.
And finally, there's more people to this cast, but I didn't mention them all. Like there's the roid freak captain. I didn't mention him either. Yeah. But of course, Kevin Peter Hall, again, as a different Predator, but still a Predator.
Still a Predator. Yeah. The only other one I wrote down was Adam Baldwin as Garber, who was like the right-hand guy to Gary Busey. And I wrote that down because I'm going to bring him up later again, but also because I love Firefly, and he's from Firefly and Serenity.
And I actually, when I seen him, I was like, oh, fuck. And I recognized him, but I couldn't place him. So when you just said Firefly now, I was like, oh, right. Because I recognize him with the goatee. He looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A little bit older, but with the goatee. And I was like, oh. But yeah, you're right. So Firefly, yeah. So is he also a Baldwin brother?
No, he's not actually related to them.
I didn't think so because he didn't look like literally like one of the Baldwin clones. But I did want to mention this because I did say this is like a mini Lethal Weapon reunion.
Yep.
And the reason for that is because was it Mike Donner, who plays the captain in all of the original ones, has a bit part as a cop in this movie.
Does he?
Yep.
Oh, I missed that.
He does. It's and I laughed because he's helping out Harrigan. I may trip up and call him Murtaugh. Just know that I mean Harrigan. It's in the initial scene where like it's that uncharacteristic heat wave, which I thought was a weird thing to add into this movie, but an uncharacteristic heat wave. Yeah. So everyone is just sweating their nuts off. It's that huge shootout in the beginning with the cops and the Haitians, right? At one point, they're all just kind of shooting and trying to figure out how to save this cop. Then Harrigan shows up, and one of the first cops that's giving him the rundown of the scene is, in fact, Mike Donner, brother of
Richard Donner?
Richard Donner,
the director of the
and the Goonies. I also mentioned the Goonies. So a little bit of tying up there.
And but Superman.
Yes, of course. The motion picture.
Yes, the motion picture, yeah.
But I actually, when I seen him, I was like, no, because they don't blatantly show him. They don't make it seem like, guess who am I? Like, remember, you ever watch Maverick?
Yep.
That Mel Gibson? Okay, so then you have that scene with Danny Glover, and it's blatantly Danny Glover. They're not hiding it at all, and they both do that thing like, oh, do I know you? That thing. They don't do that. He just plays a straight cop that's just like, here's the situation, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at it, looked it up, sure shit, it's him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I thought that was really cool, and that's why I was saying like it's a missed opportunity that Mel Gibson didn't show up for like just a quick little.
Just a flash.
It didn't even have to be Riggs, but it would have been kind of cool if Riggs was just kind of passing through and saw the shootout and was like, nope, or something to
Mel
that effect.
Gibson's head could have been on the Predator's wall of trophies.
Or they could have had like a picture of Lethal Weapon 14.
They could have, like playing
But
on the screen. Yeah,
I digress. I do think it was a missed opportunity, but it's not like it took away from the movie. First and foremost, because we mentioned this, having it set in '97. I remember the first time I watched it, and I was like, "It's weird. It's weird that they set it 10 years in the from the original."
Yeah.
And like it's only set it was filmed in 1990, but they set it in '97. I remember thinking like I don't understand why. Like why would they do this? It just seems weird, right? Now, granted, they don't do too much to make this seem like it's a super futuristic movie. Like the cars are just made differently, the guns are just made differently. They don't know how to have working AC in the future, which I thought was weird.
Nope.
Like everyone is literally just sweat stains all over. And I was like, it's a weird choice, but okay, fine. I'll let that go. The 97 setting, I was like, okay, fine. I'll let that go. Because it's not like it's a dominant thing, but it's just another one of those where I'm like, it just seems kind of weird that they would do that.
Yeah.
Although I will say, the first movie was like an expose in testosterone and swimming in pussy.
Yeah.
This one isn't actually that far off either. It's not like this one is suddenly, no, we're not going to have this is still pretty dripping in testosterone. It's just a different form. Like, I mean, well, like I said, Harrigan being Riggs and Murtaugh together, that's actually pretty manly.
Yeah, it's pretty manly. But yet, at the same time, he looks like an everyday man.
Yes, he does. He definitely looks like it.
Which I found refreshing for the sequel. If they would have had another jacked up dude like Schwarzenegger, I would be like, it's kind of cool that they went everyday man.
I'll get to my issues with that when we're closer to the ending. But I agree, it's refreshing, especially like even when the first time I watched this, I remember thinking like, first I didn't even really know they made a sequel because it wasn't I think I knew, but I never checked it out because it was in the theaters and I was still too young to go to a movie like that, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw Predator on VHS. That was the first time I watched it.
My dad had both of them in his VHS collection, and I vividly always remember that Predator 2 cover. That it was like purple with LA and everything, and it says, "Back in town with a few days to kill." And I was just like, "Yes, that is an awesome."
That is awesome. I actually think the first time I watched it was with you. You'd already seen it, obviously, but I think you were. I think it was with you, but I can't remember exactly. But I remember just being like, "Okay." Plus, I like Danny Glover, so it's not like, oh fuck. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but why him? I was like, okay, well, that's great. And and like I said, he wasn't doing his Murtaugh shtick, so it wasn't like, couldn't you do another role? Like you could do other things, Like you were good in Shooter. Come on, man. He was a prick in Shooter.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I really enjoy that aspect, and everybody in this movie does a great job. Like there's no weak links in this movie. I do feel though that I feel like they added too much to this to make it seem like it had more substance, when in fact it didn't need to have that much, Like, well, like I said, so they said it in 97, they didn't really need to, but okay, they did.
Yeah.
They did a heat wave, they didn't really need to.
Well, I don't understand the heat wave. Was it so like Predator could see them better because they were warm, or?
But it's in LA, so they're going to be warm regardless.
It's going to be roasting.
My gut tells me that they were trying to mimic the look and the feel of the first one, because the opening shot of this movie purposely shows palm trees as if it was in the jungle, and then immediately soars into, now you see it's LA, the city. So I was like, I immediately was like, okay, all right, they're trying to draw a parallel, which I was fine with. But I guess they also wanted everyone dripping sweat, just like in the first one.
I'm thinking, I still don't know how this would have played into the story, but when Jim and John Thomas wrote this screenplay, they wrote it to take place in New York City.
Okay.
Now, New York is a cooler city, so maybe they thought a heat wave would be better there.
But even still, like, even in the cold, even in the dead of winter,
you're going to see body heat.
You're going to see body heat.
Yeah. So
like,
yeah, I guess just to make everyone look sweaty like everyone in the first one.
And that's me just kind of spitballing. Like, I don't really have an answer to that. And I'm just kind of thinking, is that the reason? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I even actually looked at some of the production notes, and there's no real reason for it. There's no reason it was set in 97. And there was no reason that there was a heat wave. But also you have, this blood feud between the cops and the Haitians. Okay. The criminals, that's fine. But then you have like the other story where like Harrigan is probably going to get fired for doing cop work. Although I thought it was interesting, his immediate supervisor was a truck in this movie.
Yeah.
He was jacked. I was like, Christ, like everybody is just like, the only part that I was kind of cringed out about with the cop force was when they had Leona be the badass Latino chick.
Yep.
And I forgot all about it. And then when I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So she's going to be just as tough as the guys. And they're going to show her being just as tough as the guys. Like they did in most of those movies at that time, where now she sexually assaults Jeffrey Lambert.
As a nuts.
And I was like, it was funny, but like I called it, and I was like, you know what? Like today, you wouldn't see that because it's sexual assault. Like he would literally be like, "Hey, you're sexually assaulting me.
Yeah,
please don't do that." Right? But yeah, so it's interesting watching these movies now.
It is. They're in that case it ages them.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking enjoy. I enjoy how simple things were back then.
Yeah, well, that's just it, right? So, yeah, because like now I feel like to make a movie now, it's almost impossible because there's going to be a committee of people saying, yeah, but if you do that, these people be offended.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So why don't we do this? Okay, but if you do this, then those people will be offended.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if we do this? Well, then those people will be offended. So what can we do? Make a Disney movie. Okay, great. All right, let's just make a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Give me a list of the things that I could do that won't be offensive to anybody ever, even 20 years from now. I don't want to offend anybody 20 years from now. It is what it is. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, you know what I realized? Like actually, as I'm going through my notes, I do have more dislikes than I do have likes. But they're like small little things, but they add up, right?
Right.
But I don't want to get too ahead. So you start talking about what you like.
Okay, so the Predator voice in this wasn't Optimus Prime. It was the guy that did the voice for Shrapnel from Transformers.
Oh, okay.
I guess they just had a thing going for Transformer actors.
That's kind of neat, but it's also just one of those like Shrapnel. Who the fuck is Shrapnel? Yeah. I don't know who that is. Then again, I'm not a diehard Transformer fan, so
yeah. I'm thinking.
Anybody watching, let me know in the comments who Shrapnel is.
Is it a Decepticon? I think I'm going to say it. It doesn't sound like an Autobot name.
No, it does definitely sound like a Decepticon.
Yeah.
And definitely not a Dinobot. I can say
definitely
that.
Not a Dinobot.
Certainly.
No.
Nope. Not even close.
Peter Keyes in this movie, Gary Busey, that was originally written as Dutch. They wanted Dutch to come back 10 years later.
I know. And then there was like a contract dispute over money.
No, so it wasn't. It was actually Schwarzenegger going, no, it's fucking stupid that this is in the city and I don't like your script. Also, I'm never working with Joel Silver again.
Oh.
Who was the producer on the Predator movies? Yeah.
Wow. So wait, hold on. He was the producer of the original Predator as well as Predator 2?
Yeah. So
What
Schwarzenegger
is this
worked with
problem with
him.
Joel Silver?
He worked for Silver on Commando and then
Okay.
Predator. And after Predator, he was like, never again.
Wow.
Because apparently when Silver fired Van Damme in the first, he like basically told Van Damme to go outside, put your head on the ground, and let a truck run over it.
Well, you know what? I haven't heard too many good things about Joel Silver, the person. So
yeah,
but
he's
it's
done a
crazy.
lot of amazing movies. I mean, he did the Lethal Weapons, he did the Matrix. He's done a lot.
Hold on. What exactly does a producer do?
They're basically the ones that put the whole show together.
What do you mean puts the whole show together?
They
So they come up with storyboards.
They overlook the directors.
My understanding was that the producers were the ones that brought the money.
They bring money, but they're like the
and
ones.
then that gives them power to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So if you get a good producer, that's great. If you get a shitty producer, okay.
Yeah.
You get a guy saying, you should put your head on the ground and hope a truck runs over you.
Yeah.
And then Schwarzenegger never worked with him again.
Never again.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of a few different things.
Okay.
Here.
So a couple of different things. Although I agree, I'm not as big a fan of the setting in the city. And I don't really have a reason other than like, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why. I guess part of it is I feel like these movies work better when the stories are set in a vacuum, where like only a handful of people, like realistically, Schwarzenegger, Dutch, and Anna are the only two that survive the island.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the only ones that could say whatever it was that tried to kill them, right?
Right.
And I always feel like in those situations, they're probably going to say, look, it was, the rebel gangs or insurgents or whatever. Like, we're lucky to get out of it alive, because they know if they say, well, I think it was an alien from another planet. I killed it, but there's no indication of anything there. They're going to get locked up forever. Like Sarah Connor, for instance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she told the truth and she was locked up forever. So I feel like when you put movies like this in a much bigger setting, like a city, that's more people to sit there and say, hey, yeah, so I saw this weird fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just me though. Like that's kind of my own personal thing. So even though I'm not the hugest fan of like Aliens versus Predator, it was still like, it was set in Alaska. So it wasn't like there was a shit ton of people. It was just enough to keep it interesting, right? But there wasn't like all these other people that you're like, we all saw it. We all saw it. Like, how can you hide it, type of thing, you know? Yeah. But maybe it's also just because this, like I said, like the two movies' runtime are very similar, but this one felt longer to me.
This one does feel longer because there's so much more story to this. Like, there's so much more human story, but there's also so much like to the Predator mythology that's introduced.
I don't think it adds that much. I mean, even though I do like what they add, but I do agree. Like, it's definitely more of a human story this time around. And it's, again, one of those where I'm like, does it really need to have this much, though? Mm-hmm. Like, especially to the point where it started to look like, while the Predator was definitely hunting down, I do like that it looked like it was a gang war. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they were still kind of teasing that it was a gang war thing. And it wasn't until the midpoint of the movie that, Harrigan is starting to go, wait, there's something else is going on here. Because it's not just, like, once it starts killing anybody, then he starts going, well, now it doesn't seem like this is hitting just cops and Haitians. Now it's just whatever,
I really, okay, so first off, I love this movie. I love the setting. I thought it was so cool that the Predator went after both gangs and then started to pick off Harrigan's team one by one, all while playing mind games with Harrigan because he knew Harrigan was the end game.
That's the part that I didn't like, actually.
No?
I liked that I liked that eventually it started to go, okay, well, the Haitians are not really a challenge because he's ripping through them, right?
Yeah.
And then once he gets to Harrigan's team and then ultimately Peter Keyes' team, he starts like focusing more on them. And I was like, okay, that makes more sense because this thing wants a challenge. Ultimately, it's weird, but predators almost want to die in battle, right?
Mm.
Until they kill themselves. But other than that, though, like it's almost like that's the highest honor is to go out on your own blade type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I did not like that it seemed like the Predator was now playing mind games with Harrigan. I really didn't like that at all.
No.
I actually was just like, that makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me that it had that concept. The hunting it down, yeah, totally. But playing with his food, that seemed weird to me.
I mean, well, okay, so on its ship at the end, they show you its trophy wall, right?
Yeah.
I get the feeling watching that scene that this is a more seasoned Predator than the one in the first movie.
So why do you think that that's all his kills, though?
I don't know.
He's not the only one on the ship.
No. But he was in that room.
I'm not trying to shoot this down.
I kind of feel like that was his room. I don't know. Like,
okay.
That's his bedroom.
They don't really specify, right? So
I don't know.
It's open for interpretation. So I'm not trying to imply that.
I guess because I saw it, like he cleans off King Willie's skull and he puts it on that trophy wall. So I kind of just felt like that was maybe his wall.
It was awesome to see the alien skull on there, though.
Yeah, which introduced the whole concept of Alien versus Predator.
Yeah. Yeah, sadly led into 2 not so good movies, but
Dark Horse Comics, like the year after this, started making Alien vs. Predator in comic books.
And I like how that was added to the mythos as well. Where that was like a rite of passage.
It's funny how much of Dark Horse Comics plays off in some of these movies. Like the Subway Massacre in this
was cool. That was cool.
It's a great scene. But the Subway Massacre, after Predator 1 came out, Dark Horse Comics started making Predator comic books. And they did a Concrete Jungle comic.
Oh, right.
And that subway scene is in the comic. And the filmmakers loved that scene in the comic so much, they directly adapted it for this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like I should be reading Concrete Jungle instead of watching Predator 2. Oh, a little bit of this right there for you. You're probably not gonna like to hear this one, but
go for it.
While I love the fact that, like, specifically at the end where you had like 8 different Predator on this ship.
There must have been at least 8, yeah.
Like, let's just say 8 for now. They all looked distinctly different. I loved that, and I loved how that was the thing. They all looked different. I just didn't like the way this Predator looked. Like the main Predator looked in this movie. It almost looked a little bit too cartoony for me. He was a lot more brighter in his appearance.
Okay.
In terms of the color choices and stuff like that. He almost looked a little bit more softer. Like there was I felt there's some angularity to the original Predator. Plus, he just looked grittier, and it might have just been because of the setting, right? So more earth tones for the jungle as opposed to maybe more grays and blues for the city. I don't know.
It's hard to say. I know that in the first movie, Stan Winston didn't have a ton of time to throw that new costume together, and it ended up weighing 200 pounds to wear.
Oh, gross.
Whereas in the second movie, they did a redesign, and there was 2 different versions that were like half the weight. So maybe it just looked so much bulkier and different in the original because it was a 200-pound suit.
I'm not saying that one looked bulkier than the other. What I'm saying is from a color standpoint and from like like I said, like the second one almost looked a little bit more cartoony.
Yeah, the second one kind of has like a greeny bluish tinge to it, right? And the first one was browny orange kind of.
Right. And so the color scheme, I'm saying maybe they might have chose it because it's the jungle and they said, okay, but for the city, we'll do blues and greens and grays or whatever. What I'm getting at is it almost kind of looked like, okay, so Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
The original Ninja Turtles, the suits looked awesome. They looked real because they were real, but they looked real. Like they looked like this could happen. Granted, 70 pounds weight on your back while you're doing ninja flips, not the greatest. Okay. The second one, they distinctly look different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they actually looked cheaper, actually, is the word I'm looking for. They looked cheaper. So they didn't look as realistic as they did in the first movie. That's how I feel with this. Still looked good. Still looked like Predator, right?
Yep.
And added more mandibles. So he looked fucking scary. But it was a little distracting because it was kind of like, I almost felt like, what are they trying to do? Slowly gear this towards kids so that more people watch this?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a matter of it making it look different because it's a different Predator. I mean, they probably didn't want people to get confused.
Poor design choice for me.
They probably didn't want people to get confused thinking it was the same Predator back again or something.
Which I get too, but like I said, like all 8 of those designs on the ship, in my opinion, looked better than the one we got for the actual main guy.
So basically,
the point I'm trying to make.
All they did then was use the wrong design as the main one.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay,
but I don't like it, so it was distracting for me. Also, here's another thing. You might not want to hear this, but I mentioned the shimmer effect and how I didn't really like the shimmer effect.
Mm-hmm.
I like your argument about how it was probably easier to hide in the jungle than it was in the city. Okay, that's fine. What I didn't like was that you had the shimmer effect when he was invisible, but you still got to see his weapons.
That I don't like.
So you got to see
I will agree
several
with that.
sequences where it was floating, like his bow staff was floating, his weird hook thing was, and even like when he gutted the one guy, you saw his blades, but you didn't see anything else, and I was just like, I'm glad you agree with me on that one.
I feel like I know that Stan Winston was so excited to create new weapons in this one that they probably just wanted to show them off. But if it's on him, like on his back or on his side, it should be invisible with him until he throws it. When he throws it, I could see it going and then showing.
Yeah, and that totally makes perfect sense because, of course, it would be out of the range of the invisibility.
Yeah.
Which I get completely. But if it's physically touching him, it just makes no sense.
It does. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Plus, it didn't look good.
It didn't look good. I do think a lot of it has to do with just the technology at the time. Like they were working with visual effects when movies really weren't ready for visual effects yet at that time.
No, I get that. Like, and that makes sense too. But like, I think it's also too because we're talking early '90s, so now they're really starting to get into using CGI. So I think that's part and parcel with it too. But
yeah. Like I think if this would have been released 2 years later, after Cameron pushed the boundaries with Terminator 2, the CG in this probably would have looked a lot better. Yeah,
I also think they would have got a bigger budget too, and I think they would have had a better idea of how to use it. I think that's part of it. So I agree completely. Yeah. I do like a couple of the additions to the mythos. They didn't do too much, but they did add some stuff to it. Like I love the part, like the subway sequence. He's ripping through all of them.
Yeah.
They're all getting killed.
Yeah.
Then they get to Leona. And even I remember the first time I watched her, I was like, oh, he's not going to kill her. And then we find out he doesn't kill her, not because she's unarmed, because she had a gun.
Yeah.
She was pregnant. I was like, that is awesome.
He was a mother, so he let her live.
I was like, I couldn't get over that. So I liked that nice touch. That was a great one. The other one I'm going to leave once we get closer to the end of the movie.
Okay.
We talked about the taunting, which I didn't like. Oh, we're almost coming up on my notes here.
Are you?
We're almost done with my notes. Oh.
Okay. Well,
I will say that even though I feel like the story wasn't as good as the first one, the cast still does a great job.
The cast,
there's not one weak link in this movie.
I think, like the group of guys in the first had great chemistry together, but if you're going to look at an actual cast, the sequels cast is way more, like that's a good cast.
It's a great cast. It's
probably another reason why it had a higher budget is because, like you said, that cast that they got for the sequel.
Well, and that's like, there's a lot more moving parts here. It's, we're talking like a jungle versus a section of LA,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And now you actually will have sound stages that you have to do because it's not just a jungle. It's not the jungle shot from this angle, so it looks like a different part of the jungle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's entirely different sequences, and also, like you have that secret corporation. What the hell? I forgot their name, but the one that Keys is working for, where they're hunting down
Yeah.
the predators and stuff like that. And they reference Dutch, and they say, like, so he's the only one that survived, and he killed it. But I was like, it seems weird that he would talk about it, but that's fine. And then 10 years later, they show up, but they have all this gear to try and track it down based on some of the stuff that they learned from Dutch. But they seem to know a lot about these things.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird.
Well,
because they don't really explain it, I guess, is really my issue.
I kind of got the feeling that they've bumped into these more than just with Dutch in the past.
They never said that, though. And I wish if that was the case, they should have. They should have said, well, like Dutch was the first recorded one that we knew of until we tracked one, say, in the desert or some other remote area, right? So we actually had our own experience.
Now that I think about it, no, they didn't really think that all they really knew was that it saw with heat vision because they knew to block out their heat. Mm-hmm. They knew that it had crazy technology that would be great to weaponize the US with. So they wanted to capture it alive.
I think I'm just trying to find more reasons to not like the movie. I think that's what I'm doing.
I know you're pulling one of those right now.
I think that's what I'm doing. So,
but then it was really cool because you got to see that the Predator has more than one vision. He's just switching through until he sees the friggin' lights, and that was cool.
That I thought was awesome. So like that was one of those things where like when they add to it. So then because then you would think, well, naturally, if we're 10 years removed and they're already technologically advanced, right? He would yes, his primary vision is heat vision, but they would figure out, okay, so that human on that island fucked him up. He figured it out. Yeah. So we have to figure out a way to get around that. So, and I thought that was really cool. And when Harrigan, it's like, he sees the lights.
Turn off your lights.
Yeah, exactly. He sees the lights, but that was cool. And plus the visuals, with that stuff, I thought was really cool. And I also like the sound effect, that slashing effect when they switch vision.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never forget that. In fact, if I watch a Predator movie and they don't have that sound, I'm going to be like, it's not a Predator movie.
It's almost like a whip, eh? Like,
yeah, just whoosh, whoosh. Yeah. But that part was really cool. And then it leads into an interesting end battle sequence that while I like for the most part, there are some elements that I'm just kind of like, but I mean, obviously they have to do things differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate the fact that Harrigan can freely take the mask off the Predator. No clasps, no nothing, no buttons that he's got to press. He just literally goes, oh, mask off.
Well, I didn't like that. You unhooked the hoses.
Why would he even think to do that?
Connected to the mask, I guess. I
don't know. I guess ultimately, I just don't like that he freely took the mask off.
Yeah. Okay.
But the flip side being that, obviously now the Predator has to kill him because he's humiliated. It's a different ball game from the one from the first movie going no, we're equals. I'll fight you on your own terms. To this one going you fucking unmasked me? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where, I get the rationale behind it. I just don't like that he did it. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'm just a bit of a purist in that regard. But the sequence after that though, where he's literally getting chased by the Predator to the roof of the building, and we've established early on that he hates heights.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, and they shot it really well in that regard, where you start to get sort of that panicky camera angles from him, and it's doing a really good job of showing it.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah,
and the whole
was great.
The whole side of the building too, when they're on that ledge, and he's literally the Predator's holding onto him for
and then
I was like,
doot, 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 and then
yeah, I was like,
down,
holy shit! And then he cuts his arm off
yeah,
with his own weapon, and I was like, that's awesome. The sequence in the ship is my favorite part in the whole movie, though.
yeah, it's a good final fight.
It's a great final fight because they do a really good job of actually making you think like Harrigan is probably going to die here. What a way to go! But then he does that classic like last minute like boo and guts him, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. But the ship itself looked really cool.
Yeah, looked great.
You know, the fact that like they purposely made it shaped like a shell, I thought was really interesting because they got away from that like penis-shaped imagery of ships from since forever.
Yeah.
It's like it's either penis shaped or shaped like a vagina. Like for some reason, those are the two designs. Occasionally, you see boob shapes, right?
Yeah.
But it's mostly those three. So then to see something completely out of the ordinary, like a shell, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it had almost like that biotech feel to it on the inside, which I thought was really, really cool. I forgot to mention in the first one too. I love that they have neon green blood.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I think that it's just visually amazing.
It's so cool.
So like overall, this is still a good movie. It's not like it's a bad movie, even though I spent a good portion of it telling you the things I didn't like. I will rewatch this movie. That's the other thing. It's not in the same category as Predator, but I will definitely rewatch it because there's still a lot in the movie that I liked. And it is a worthy successor. Like it's not like a pointless sequel where I felt like they shouldn't have done it. I'm glad that they did because they added to it. Because especially like at the end where Harrigan, kills the Predator.
Yep.
Then all the other Predators show up, take the body. But I love how, and they give him the trophy, like they give him the gun, but it's kind of like, oh, you're still here? There you go, you win. And
Get out.
I've exaggerated it, but not by much. Like it is kind of like, okay, here you go. Which I thought is kind of cool because they take trophies, so it would make sense that for two reasons. One, that's a fucking old gun. I think it was like 1805 that gun was actually made.
1715.
Yeah, 1715. So it's like, so they've been doing this for a long time, and that one in particular, he got a gun from back in that time period. So it's kind of neat that you've established a long-standing tradition of aliens or these predators showing up on Earth to kill humans. Even though, is it really that hard? But still, like, it's awesome.
So I love the mythology that they added to the Predator, like the whole mythos of it all. Like they really added onto it in this movie, and it's great because it's the creators of the first. I also wrote this one, so it's kind of
Yeah. No, I didn't realize that, and I wish I would have did a little bit more research, even though I did quite a bit, if I do say so myself.
You did quite a bit. You did.
But still, like, it is cool that the same two guys did both movies, which is great.
Yeah, because like really, to me, like I watched the end of this movie, and I feel like if this would have been as successful as the first, we would have got a Predator 3 back in the 90s.
Yes.
And they had two different options. They could have had that Garber guy, that Adam Baldwin, return.
Mm-hmm.
Years later. He lived. He could be running a new team years later.
Exactly.
And then they could have also had, they could have did the prequel route. They could have went Western because they showed 1715. And I was thinking like, fuck, a Predator in the 1700s, like Western style would be sick.
Yeah. Or like, cause like, it is kind of disappointing. Like, and I was thinking that too, like even after I finished the Predator 2, I was like, and I saw how much money they made versus how much the original made. And I was like, well, no wonder we didn't get a third one.
Yeah.
And we should have. And you're right, like a prequel, like in the 1700s, Wild West would have been awesome. Could you imagine one set in like the Mayan time period?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, they kind of, it's not mine, but they kind of went that route a little bit with the pyramid in Alien vs. Predator. Because the whole thing takes place in the underground pyramid.
Yeah, but when was that set though?
That's modern. That's modern time. But I think the pyramid itself was like from Mayan times.
So that's where you would have to figure out. So I always look at it like Aliens versus Predator is its own storyline. There's no, even though they might reference any of the other movies, I will still say it almost can't exist within the other timeline, because you had one that was set in 1989 or in 87, sorry, and that was very much set in 87. The movie itself, it was made in 87. It was set in 87. They weren't saying like this is in the future, and then for some reason
they jumped 10 years.
Predator 2 says, "No, we're in the future. Yeah, we're in the future. We're 7 years in the future." So then for this one to happen in modern times, and that's what I thought, because I watched Alien vs. Predator. Oh, I actually watched Requiem too. But the problem is that both of them are very similar. So they kind of melded together.
Well, Requiem takes place literally right after the first.
Yeah, but isn't Requiem with the Big Show? Or is Big Show in Aliens vs. Predator?
Is Big Show in one of them?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched them.
Well, he's called Paul White in real life, though. He's not called the Big Show.
Yeah, obviously.
Just saying.
Oh,
you know what I was?
Big
you know
Show
what I was saying about
credits.
You know what I got to tell you though? The next time I talk about wrestling, if I actually hear somebody say, it's fake, right? I might actually have to kill them. Because like when I was working at Power Center, and one of the guys said that he's like, "You watch that fake shit too?" I said, "Yeah, I do watch that fake shit. I also watch movies. Those are fake.
Those are also fake.
You like Young and the Restless, right?" And the guy, he literally goes, "Yeah." I go, that shit's not real either. That's fake. I'm just saying, like 90% of the stuff that we watch is fake, right? So I don't know, maybe give wrestling a break. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's fake. Okay, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Who the fuck cares? I don't have Paul White coming up for either one of them on IMDb.
Oh, I could have swore he was in that one. Either one of them. Okay, well then I was wrong.
I don't know. But again, it's been so long. So maybe he does make a little cameo or something and it's just uncredited.
I can't remember exactly, but he was a Predator. I don't know for how long, but I'm almost certain he was a Predator. Oh, here's another interesting thing about another reason why I look at the Aliens versus Predator as its own sort of separate entity is because while there's a level of honor to the Predators aren't heroes by any means.
No.
And they're definitely depicted as heroes in those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like in Predators, you had two versions of Predators. So you could actually have your good guy Predators, which the original were. And then, of course, you had like the souped up. I think they were actually called Black Predators.
Yeah. Yeah, they were nuts.
So, you could have the good guy, bad guy type of situation here. But like in normal terms, just because he didn't kill the woman because she was pregnant doesn't mean it's okay that he gutted all these other guys. And most of these guys are cops, so it's not like they're douchebags. They're cops, like they're heroes. Whatever. He's a good guy.
I actually read that Robert Rodriguez wrote the script for Predators in the 90s. And then Fox was like, Fox was like, Predator shelved right now, sorry. But then the AVP movies were so successful, they were like, hey, Robert, we're going to do your movie. And it came out like 2010. Like they sat on that for over 12 years.
That's crazy though. But in all honesty though, if that's the movie that they would have done for Aliens or Predator 3, I don't think I would have liked it.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely a different type of Predator movie.
It is. And it can take place really at any time because they're just dropped off on the planet.
Yeah, it's good. Like, it's really good. I actually really liked a lot of that. But it would have been a weird way to follow the second one.
Yeah.
Because even if they use that to follow the first one, it would be weird. Like, now you're on the Predator prison planet. Yeah. And they hunt you. It's like, wait, what? And even though, like, as I'm saying it, the premise actually doesn't make sense.
It's like, it seems like so much work. Why wouldn't they just come hunt you there?
Yeah, it does. Like they captured all, and they made sure they were all bad guys too. So they captured all these bad guys,
Yeah.
shipped them off to the planet, so the predators can then hunt them again. Essentially, like, so yeah, you know what? Maybe revisiting stuff isn't so good sometimes. Another reason why I'm not going to watch Lost in Space again.
Yeah, keep it in the memory bank, man.
Just you know what? I
good
liked
in
the
there.
movie.
It's good in there.
I enjoyed it. I still haven't checked out the TV show on Netflix though. I heard it was good.
I did not like it at all.
Oh no! Oh, okay.
Nope.
Is it because there's no Gary Oldman?
Yes.
And Jonathan Hurt?
Yeah, replaced with Parker Posey.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They changed his sex for the TV show.
That's right. And I remember I watched the first episode and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. Even though I like Parker Posey and she could play a bad guy really good.
I love Parker Posey and I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with in the show is that it's very... it's good to be pro-woman, but it's not good to be pro-woman and like make men look like fucking retards the whole time. And that's kind of what the show does.
Okay, I see. So
it just became. I was just like, oh, this is just another one of those woke shows. Like I watched like 6 episodes. I was like, I'm done.
I hate that term, woke. I'm getting so sick and tired of hearing, oh, it's a woke show just because it shows a strong woman.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like your issue that you're having is the issue that I have with Last of Us 2, where they're shitting on the men to make the women look better. Is that kind of the idea?
That's pretty much it. I love
instead
of
just having like both men and women being just equally awesome.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can have a woman that's strong without making the man look like a fucking pussy the entire time.
Well, yeah, like I mean, look at Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Exactly.
Those two stand shoulder to shoulder, and no one's sitting there going like, "Oh, I think she's on here because she's a woman."
Yeah.
You know, and Cyborg is only here because he's black.
Oh man. Though that one might actually be true.
Well, in the New 52, I think it was. I don't want to play that card, but I think he was put on there because he was black.
But when you think about it, the DC universe has very limited black heroes.
They have
unless
more
they go
than
John
you think.
Stewart. They could do John Stewart Green Lantern. Like that would
they
be
could do
better.
John Stewart.
That'd be much better.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when they did that for Justice League and they had John Stewart instead of Hal Jordan, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like Cyborg was always a Teen Titan, was he not?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he's pushed to Justice League status.
And that was the part that bugged me, was because it was just like, if it would have been a progression to that.
Yeah.
Because again, like if they didn't do the New 52 and then just had him go from like, you know, co-leading the Titans, the Teen Titans, because that's what he was doing before the New 52. He was co-leading the Teen Titans. Or I think they might have relaunched Titans and he was like leading the Titans. But at one point, he and Starfire, because they were the oldest, were co-leading the Titans. And then that's where Tim Drake and Connor Kent and Bart Allen and Cassie Sandsmark all showed up for that, from Young Justice to Titans. Because I read like a good chunk of that run, so it's like a really good run. If they went from that to saying, you know, you should be in the Justice League, then I'd be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Instead of having this no experienced kid become the Cyborg, just like in Justice League, it's the same idea. They did the exact same concept. So Mother Box whole thing, but he's in the Justice League, and it's like even in the Justice League movie, we've got Batman, who's got, let's say, almost 2 decades of experience under his belt. We've got Wonder Woman, who's an Amazon, so
she's been around a while. Yeah,
that's it. And then you have Aquaman. Again, I don't really have to say much. It's Aquaman.
Yeah.
And then you got Flash. You got Cyborg. Like Flash, okay, fine. Like, even though they were treating him more like a junior leaguer, but still.
Mm-hmm.
But those two, you're just like, out of the four of them, like even at the end with Superman, you're just like I get four of them. The other two, I'm just like,
yeah.
But
Fast Kid and half robot. I mean,
yeah. But rather than having every Geek Pants Camcast turn into I wish Justice League was better.
We only do it every second episode. Come on.
It's pretty close to every second episode. That's the funny part. It's the hate. Like, it's not even the hate. It's just that longing for it to be better.
It will get there.
Yeah.
2021. It will get there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, Predator 2 in the can.
Predator 2 in the Camcast can.
Oh, the Cancast.
Oh, that's
yeah.
No, I took us down. That's not good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is part 2 of our Predator 1-2 punch. You can see us on YouTube. You can definitely see us on YouTube. You can catch us on Twitter, on Facebook. You can hear us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and also check out geekpantsmedia.com.
Yep.
For all the supplementary stuff that you would want from us.
Yeah.
That
you missed one.
You can get on any of this. I know I missed one, and I can't tell you which one I missed.
Instagram.
Why did I miss Instagram?
I don't know.
You know, the worst part is that as I was saying Twitter, I was thinking Instagram, and then I said Facebook, and then I was like, I said Instagram.
In my mind.
I mind fucked myself.
Very good. Very good. All right, everyone, let us know down below your thoughts on Predator and Predator 2. And if you would like to see us do Alien 3 and 4 next, no, not next, but in the series, or Predator 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Because then eventually we're going to get
Terminator 3 and 4.
Or that.
We're going to do AVP.
We got to do AVP, man.
Why? Why do we have to?
We got to do AVP. We opened up the gates with these movies, and unfortunately, that is down the stream.
Well, actually, to be honest, because it's our Camcast, we can do whatever the fuck we want. So if, say, one of us or both of us doesn't want to do something, but mostly one of us, we probably shouldn't do that.
Right.
Because then it wouldn't really be fair, right? And besides, we got to start getting our Halloween stuff coming up.
We got so much in the works. So much. That's
right.
We got to do our TMNT run for the 30th anniversary,
which we should do soon because I really want to do that badly.
Yep, we got
badly. I'm itching bad to do that one.
Ooh, there's cream for that, man. No, nothing.
Thanks everybody for checking us out.
Right.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. And if you haven't done any of those things, please do. And don't worry, we're not looking at Patreon just yet, but you never know what might happen. Because you might see an ad from Rage Shadow Legends soon enough. Who knows? We just got demonetized. I didn't say anything about anything. Shit.
Yeah. I could cut that out, but I'm going to leave it all.
Might as well. Let's tempt fate.
Let's do it. Fuck it. See you later, everyone.